Okay, so if you're doing all those three, you're eating enough, you're drinking enough water, you're stimulating your boobs a lot to produce the milk, and you're still not producing enough milk, or you really want to increase your milk supply, here are a few tips that really worked for me. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about breastfeeding, my experience, my tips, and then a few ways to increase your milk supply. Because breastfeeding is such a huge topic, I wanted to break it down into two videos. So this week I will do my, like I said, my experience, my tips, and then a few tips to increase milk supply. And then next week I will mention a few products and tips that I use while breastfeeding, things that really helped me out while I was breastfeeding my son. If you are new here, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have been watching for a while now, I appreciate your guys' support. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the bell. The reason why this is important for us YouTubers is because the more likes and the more subscriptions and the more comments we get, the higher we get in the YouTube ladder, I guess. So the more exposure, the better, and the more opportunities, the more motivation that we get as YouTubers to put out more content. So first I wanted to talk about my experience breastfeeding. So I'm a first-time mom, and I knew I wanted to breastfeed from the very beginning. When I was pregnant, I would watch a lot of videos all about newborns, about breastfeeding, everything. So I was familiar with some things, such as like colostrum and things like that, you know, things that you only learn or you only know about if you're breastfeeding. So basically, I breastfed my son from 0 to 6 months, exclusively breastfed, and exclusively breastfeeding and pumping. So I started breastfeeding exclusively until he was 6 months old. At 6 months old, I stopped breastfeeding. Cold turkey, I stopped, and I gave him formula just because in my previous video I mentioned why I stopped breastfeeding and the stress and the depression that I was in. But anyways, that's another topic. If you want to hear more about that, watch the last video, and I will link it up here in the tags, and you can watch that one if you want. So anyways, I breastfed exclusively for 6 months, and I honestly loved breastfeeding. Literally a month after stopping breastfeeding, I really missed it. I think what it was at the beginning, it was really hard. It took me 5 weeks for my boobs not to hurt. Like, I would literally breastfeed my baby, and every time I would have to like brace myself, like my toes would curl. I was like in so much pain. And I think it's important to know the difference between breastfeeding, like normal pain, like where, you know, your boobs, your nipples aren't used to it, and then like excruciating pain where it's burning. So for me, what happened was I had thrush. So for 5 weeks, I was breastfeeding him at the beginning, and it hurt, but then it got worse and worse and worse. So I didn't have like cracked nipples much. I did have it maybe a couple of like a little bit, not too much. But my boobs, my nipples would be like burning. Like it would be like a burning feeling from the outside to the inside, and like a shooting pain. So that's not normal. So definitely know the difference between regular breastfeeding, getting used to the pain, getting used to breastfeeding and that type of pain, and then like mastitis and thrush and things like that. Know the difference. So what I did is that I would pump or breastfeed every 3 hours when he was a newborn. So I would wake up at midnight, I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Every 3 hours, if I wasn't feeding him, I would pump. This way I was able to increase my milk supply, and I had a freezer stash. But my first thing I would say is to not stress about pumping and about having a milk stash, because what happened with me is I stressed so much about having enough milk that I was never away from my son for that long, so I didn't need that much milk, even in the freezer. I think I maybe used it a couple of times, but it really, I wish I wouldn't have killed myself that much and gotten more sleep than pumping at night, just because I was a stay-at-home mom, and I just wanted to have some in case of an emergency. But honestly, I didn't use the milk that I needed. And what sucked is that I wasn't able to donate the milk, because at the time I was taking a certain medication for my my thyroid. So I couldn't donate the milk, so it all went to waste. Okay, so let's get started with the tips. I have a few tips for breastfeeding moms. Whether you're breastfeeding and pumping, or you're just breastfeeding, whatever it is, my first tip is to reach out to your lactation specialist. It doesn't matter what insurance you have, it doesn't matter what insurance you have. Every prenatal type of care, they're gonna offer lactation specialists, and even if you don't, there's things such as La Leche League, which is a nonprofit that really encourages breastfeeding, and things such as WIC, which is Women in Care, that's for low-income families and mothers that have young children below the age of 5. So there's a whole bunch of free resources, guys, and free help out there. They really help you, like, if you're not sure if your baby's latching, if you're in a lot of pain, if you don't know a certain position, like everything. I went to my lactation specialist, like, I think I met her like 3 or 4 times in person, and then it was just a great help because it really made me feel supported. You think it just comes naturally, it doesn't. There's certain positions and like just the latch, everything about breastfeeding is new to a woman if you've never had a child before, so having a lactation specialist there for you is the best. My last tip is going to be to definitely hang in there. Guys, I already mentioned that it took me 5 weeks to get used to breastfeeding and being comfortable with it because I was in a lot of pain. Like I either had cracked nipples, or I had really sore boobs, or I had thrush. So it was really hard. If you are new to breastfeeding, it's definitely gonna be a journey. It's harder for some women than it is for others, and it takes a shorter amount of time for some women than others to get used to it, but know that it's temporary. Reach out to your lactation specialist. Know the difference between regular pain or regular uncomfortableness, because that's the word, not pain, and then pain like where it's like burning or you have a fever. That's different. It becomes so much easier as the weeks go by. So I first want to mention that with breastfeeding, guys, there's three important, really important things that you need to make sure when you're breastfeeding, especially right out of the hospital. The first tip is lots of water. You guys need to drink lots and lots of water. You are so fucking thirsty all the time. Like, I remember breastfeeding, I was always thirsty and I was always hungry. So that's my second tip, making sure you eat enough food. When you're breastfeeding, you should not be trying to diet or lose weight. When you're breastfeeding, you burn a lot of calories. I want to say about 500 calories a day, depending on how much you're breastfeeding. So you're already burning calories because you're breastfeeding, but it's not a good time to diet or try to lose weight. You need to make sure you're first eating enough to supplement your body, but to also supplement your breast milk supply. It's not eating enough. What it's going to do, it's going to take it's gonna lower your milk supply and it's gonna drop. How much food you should be eating with breastfeeding, it's not necessarily a certain number, but what they suggest is focusing on what your body is asking you for. Paying attention to your body, drinking enough water, and making sure that you're eating enough calories is listening to your body like, oh shit, I'm starving. It's wholesome food that are gonna fill you up, not a whole bunch of crap, because remember, what you put in your body is what you are. So if you're breastfeeding and you're eating a whole bunch of McDonald's and pizza and stuff, all of that food is gonna fill you up, but the nutrients is not gonna be as nutrient dense. So you wanna make sure you're eating good food that's gonna fill you up, that's gonna give you nutrition, and through the milk supply is gonna give it to your baby too. So yeah, not time to diet, eat enough. You're also stimulating your boobs to produce milk. So what this means is that when you're breastfeeding, if you're not stimulating your boobs enough, your body's not gonna know that you needed to produce more milk or you needed to produce milk. Stimulating your boobs is making sure that you're feeding your child every certain amount of time. And definitely check with your lactation specialist, check with your doctors how often they should be eating, because it changes and it varies depending on their development stages and their age. But yeah, if you're not stimulating your boobs are not gonna produce milk. Okay, so if you're doing all those three, you're eating enough, you're drinking enough water, you're stimulating your boobs a lot to produce the milk, and you're still not producing enough milk, or you really want to increase your milk supply, here are a few tips that really worked for me. Eat oatmeal every single day. So what I would do is I would make like overnight oats in the fridge, because I don't really like hot oatmeal. It gets me kind of grossed out and like I can't eat it really quick enough. So what I would do is I would do overnight oats, and it was basically half a cup of oats to a cup of milk, almond milk, and then I would add different little things to it, berries, vanilla extract, cinnamon, all that, to make it a lot like yummier, I guess. Like it tasted really, really good. I loved it. So I would eat that every single morning. And something about oats, it's a milk stimulator. So oatmeal helps you produce more milk, and yeah, it's really healthy for you too. Okay, so on top of the oatmeal, what I would do is I would eat lactation cookies. So I would buy them at Target or Amazon, and the brand is called Milk Makers. Milk Makers makes lactation cookies that are already pre-made, or you can buy the mix that you can bake yourself. I also follow this lady on Instagram. Her name is Lady Annie Fit. I think Annie Fit, I'll link her below, and she makes her own lactation cookies. I never tried them because I was already done breastfeeding when I noticed that she had a recipe, but it's super, super easy, and it's a lot cheaper to make it yourself with things that you already have at home. So the next thing is certain supplements. I have 2 supplements that I took while breastfeeding. I use something called Legendary Milk. The one that I took, I believe, was called Let There Be Milk, the golden milk. And basically what it does, it would help you produce a lot of milk. So you would take the capsules daily. I forget how many you take it because it tells you exactly how much to take. But I swear when I started doing this, guys, I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 days after taking them, my milk, I had so much milk, and I would notice because when I pumped, I knew exactly how many ounces I was producing. And then after taking the capsules, after a few days, my milk increased by, I want to say like, I want to say about 2 to 3 ounces per boob. So I know definitely those capsules helped me a lot. You don't want to take it forever. This is just if you're trying to increase your milk supply and the things that I mentioned already aren't producing enough of what you want. So that definitely helps, the Legendary Milk capsules. The next thing I took, this was disgusting, but it was like magic, guys. It has so many highly rated reviews on Amazon, as well as a Legendary Milk. This one is called Let There Be Milk Lactation Liquid Drops. So basically what you would do is you put it directly to your mouth and drink it, but it tastes disgusting. So what I would do is I would mix it with orange juice and then chug it down really quick. And this also, guys, I swear by this, it helps you produce so much milk, at least a few ounces per boob. So stimulating it, eating enough, drinking enough water, and if you want to increase more milk supply, then some of the supplements that I just mentioned really, really helped me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any other tips that you guys use or any advice, please let me know in the comments below. I love when you guys comment and like we have a conversation. It's really, really fun for me, and it shows me that you guys are really like appreciating the videos. So anyways, I'll see you guys in my next video, and don't forget, next week I will do the second part of this video, which is gonna be products and things that I use while breastfeeding that really helped me in my breastfeeding journey. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!